Today I want to talk about sex and what it has done to dating. Let me go ahead and pin this here. Those of you watching on Instagram, comment your city and state. If you are watching the replay on YouTube, comment replay and we can see who's watching. But I want to talk about sex. I've talked about it a bunch of times on my YouTube channel. I have had dialogues here on Instagram. But I want to talk about a story and I want to get you guys' input, okay? I feel like we are coming into a time where there are two groups. You have the abstainers and you got the fornicators. Let me do some shout outs real quick. I'll do the top 5 I see. We got Durham, North Carolina. I feel like I'm saying that word. Durham. I'm sure I'm saying it like an out-of-towner. Seattle, Washington. Shout out to Daryl Walker. Hey. But I feel like we got two camps. Okay, we'll use the biblical terms: the abstainers and the fornicators. Shout out to Kingston, Jamaica. All right, I'll do 2 more shout outs. Whoever are the next 2. But I want to talk about the cons of having sex before marriage. Houston. Hey, Houston in the house. All right, got 1 more shout out coming. Tulsa, Oklahoma. All right, we got my top 5. Hey guys. All right, so let's talk about this. And I'm going to share a story from my actual... She said Durham. Oh, Durham. Thank you. I was like, when I said it, it doesn't sound like it was coming out authentically. Durham. Okay. So I had this situation and I want to tell this story about someone that I met. I met someone on a dating app and interesting, had a conversation, decided to use the phone feature, really hit it off, had great conversation, and ended up doing a video chat because, you got to do the video chat and make sure that there's chemistry there and you're not being catfished, right? So go through all these checks, and it's not often that, you find someone you're on the same page with. So after having conversations, the conversation came up about, intercourse. And when it came out that I abstain, that I believe that sex should be preserved for marriage, at first the guy was like, yeah, that's fine, not an issue. And then after, some time, he was like, I don't think I could wait. And there it is. That was the end point to the discussion. There's no need, the impasse, there's no need to move forward, right? And I thought about this and I was like, what this guy said was, I don't meet a lot of women like you. You are incredible. You're easy to talk to. I felt like I've known you forever, which on the one hand could just be a bunch of bull, right? Because anyone can say anything. So I don't believe everything people say. But I'm just saying, let's just, for fun, for kicks, let's say that this was true. And, very compatible lifestyles, everything is checking out. I think it's a very sad day that we live in, that somebody would just walk away from a situation because they couldn't have sex with the person. There is so much conversation from men about women and disparaging women and saying that they belong to the streets, talking about how promiscuous they are. A lot of guys would say, I will do certain things for a woman if she's a virgin, but if she's not a virgin, like, hey, she ought to let me do XYZ. So clearly men understand and value virginity and purity. But on the other hand, men are saying, I can't get past not having sex with you. And this is something I'm telling you, I've been spending a lot of time thinking about this. I've done, YouTube video after YouTube video. I mean, not a ton, but I've done a couple YouTube videos talking about this. And I just want to know, when do we get to the point where men can have self-control? And I don't mean to sound sexist, but it tends to be men over women. There are women who say, I couldn't hold out on sex. So I'm not eliminating those women. I know that those women are there. But out of the two genders, if someone were to say, hey, I want to wait until we're married or at least engaged before we become intimate. Typically, it's the men who are chomping at the bit. And I have had I've had conversations with guy friends, and I'm like, hey, if you were with somebody and you found out that they were abstinent, could you deal? And they were like, no. Like, that's wild to me that the person could have sex for the rest of their life with this person, but a majority of the population wouldn't even get to the point of marriage because it's more beneficial in their mind to have sex now. And I think that is I know that is a big part of our generation's problems. Everything is so short-sighted. Everything is about instant gratification. You don't see a lot of people planning for the future, saving money, living below their means so that down the road they could invest in a house or, I just look at what happens when we have sex. And I mean, I'm abstinent because of spiritual reasons, my commitment to God. But if you take away that, there's so many reasons to abstain. Like, literally, you could get a disease. I mean, let's just be direct, right? You could get a disease. You're going off of this person's word. Most men don't want to have a condom on. Doesn't feel as good, right? So most guys don't want to have a condom on. So you're basically saying, I'm trusting you with my life. I could catch something that medication and antibiotics can't get rid of. 2, you can get pregnant. And if any woman has ever had a pregnancy scare, that is like the scariest thing in the world. Especially if the person you were having sex with was just for fun. And suddenly, you're going, oh my God, I could permanently be attached to that guy. You have that. Then you have, now when you have sex on the table, now you have confused the equation. So let's just say you take sex off the table. There's no reason why a guy is going to want to take me out to dinner, hang out with me, and do all this stuff like, ha ha ha, tricked her, took her out to dinner 7 times, jokes on her. There's no incentive for an asshole to just use women and try to wine and dine them to get them into bed. If you take that off the table, there isn't an incentive for a guy to mistreat you. They would only want to spend time with a woman because they actually want to get to know her so that they can actually marry her and have kids one day. We've gotten so wild that I've heard people say it's a red flag if a man hits a certain age and doesn't have kids. I'm like, it's called he either pulls out or practices safe sex or is abstinent. So it's so weird. And then you look at all these guys, right? All these guys who say, I don't want to date someone who has a baby daddy. And it's not because they have a problem with little Pookie and little Ray Ray. It's because they don't want to deal with Pookie Sr. and Ray Ray Sr. They want to make sure that there's no funny business still happening with the mom, or they don't want to deal with the trauma that's, happening before. And as much as people try to say, oh, you shouldn't judge someone because they have kids, how many little memes and stories do we see? Perfect one example is the McDonald's story, okay, that went viral. All because they're trying to deal with different baby dads. If you only have one baby dad, you don't have to worry about who's buying whose food because you're buying all the kids' food because they're your kid. So, and that's one of the things that I knew when I chose to get a divorce. I knew, which is one of the reasons I drag my feet, because I'm like, who's going to want to date someone with 2 kids? Who's going to want a divorcee? That's just facts. It's just real. We are not as eligible once we have had children. I didn't want to date a man who had children when I didn't have children. And I don't think that we should, make it seem like, that's politically incorrect to say. That is the case. That's like somebody saying, I want to go on vacation, and someone's like, I want to bring my kids on vacation. Like, no, this is a kid-free trip. They're not anti-children. They're like, if I don't have to deal with that, I don't want to have to deal with that right now. So getting back to what I was saying, this whole thing about sex is just, it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. And I'm told that I'm not like, thank you, oh girl, you're so sweet, always getting badges. Not to toot my horn, but I am a woman who has done work. I have my spirituality to get me together. I live peaceably. You know, I get along with my kid's father. A lot of people would say that I'm a catch, you know, as far as having, you know, kids, that there are people who have kids who would date me, you know. It's not saying that I couldn't date that person. But the main reason why I don't have success, oh, thank you, okra. You got two. Thank you. Sounds like okra when I say it quickly. Okra. The main reason why I struggle with dating is because most men cannot get past their thing. It's wild. And so I want to speak to the women who have said, I want to be a virtuous woman. I want to be a virtuous woman. Maybe I'm not a virgin. Obviously, I have kids, you know. I was married before, so I'm not a virgin. But I want to be. It's wild that we are penalized for wanting to wait. That's wild. That's wild to me. And I would think that as a guy, I would want a woman who's not run through. I would think that as a guy, and I met a woman who's like, hey, I'm abstinent, I'd be like, dang, that's awesome. She doesn't just, you know, hook up with anybody. But every single guy wants to feel like he's special. But it's just me, or it's just this once, or it's like, when are we going to get to the point where we're not controlled by our sex? Like, seriously, this is what I want to know. When are we going to get to the point where we are not controlled by our sex? And I am so tired of men using this as an excuse. This is just how we are. No, those are your animal urges. And I always use this example, like, I'm not trying to be crass, but I get urges to defecate. I am not going to just do it in the middle of the grocery store because, I felt the urge. No, we become potty trained as kids, right? We wait. It doesn't matter if your stomach's hurting. It doesn't matter how uncomfortable you are. You're not going to defecate right where you stand. You figure this out. So all this urge stuff, and I'm like, if your urges are that bad, what are you going to do in a marriage? What are you going to do in a marriage? Because you're telling me that you're only going to feel urges towards your wife? You're not going to feel an urge towards another woman? And on top of that, I have a feeling this is why a lot of men struggle in their relationships. Because they have sexual urges. It's not because they love their wife and want to shower their wife with physical affection. Hey, let me physically show you my love. No, it's, I am horny. You have a hole. I have something to stick in that hole. Boom, I'm good. You wonder why a lot of women shut down after marriage? It's because she feels like she's just a vagina. Who wants to feel like that? At least with a hooker, you're getting $40 on the nightstand. As a wife, it's just like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Might not even get the thank you, ma'am. I don't say I'm waiting until marriage just when I'm comfortable and I might be engaged or married. It's on them, the connection. I mean, at least you know the person's committed to you. Men struggle because women don't want to be whatever he wants to be at that moment. When are we going to get to a place where we call a spade a spade? Let's stop acting like it's sexy to have no holds barred when it comes to sex. Let's stop acting like it's trendy to mate with people you don't know and are not committed to. I'm not even going to go to the point of marriage, okay? Because I know not everyone's a believer in Jesus Christ and committed to that lifestyle. But like, this isn't even your man. These men have an expectation that they can get sex off rip. I have had men literally on dating apps, very first text, come over. First of all, you don't know that if I'm a serial killer, I could be a catfish. Okay, I could be some 500-pound man named Randy, and you just trusting my pick. Like, we are getting too casual about sex. But getting back to the story that I told, it was wild to me that this guy is, describing, oh my goodness, all this, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. And I know what I have going for myself. But the fact that he would rather just, bye, because I can't have sex with you. He said, you're too beautiful. I know I'm going to want to. And he said something very perverse. And I was like, first of all, ew, I just met you like yesterday. No, it was the same day. Same day I met him. Thank you, Pretty Brown. It was the same day. I'm telling you, I'm working so hard on this community, this virtual community where people can meet. How about we go back to the day where you don't expect sex from a woman? You don't expect sex. A gentleman doesn't even bring up sex. I've had men ask what my favorite position is on the first conversation. If there weren't women who agreed to do that, men wouldn't do it. Behaviors that have favorable outcomes are more likely to be repeated. That is a fact that if the woman took away the supply, the men couldn't do it. But there are two separate things. You listed one, but two, men should be able to have self-control. What you're saying is, unless a woman has morality, I'm not going to have morals. That's embarrassing. As a man, that's embarrassing as a man. So, as a woman, I teach women, hey, don't give the cow, don't give the cow, because then he won't buy the milk. Or don't give the milk because he won't buy the cow. I tell women that, yes, that's on her. But why do men like to equate themselves to animals that walk around on 4 legs? Why? I don't want to be compared to an animal. I'm a whole person with a brain and a consciousness. What does she say? Well, what do we do? I'm not having sex till we're married or at least committed. This is why I have to focus on my relationship with Jesus Christ. Because if I wait for a man who's virtuous, I might, and I have said this, I might be single for the rest of my life. If you want to date properly, but if you want sex, say that. She can agree or disagree and say what you want. I'm a man that practices abstinence, and I know from experience that women can be just as compulsive. I have turned down several women, not negating what you're saying about men at all. And I want to speak to that, Paul. And like I said, there are women, I said at the beginning, there are women who also struggle to abstain. With men, I think it's even worse. Men are accused of playing for the other team, not being interested. And that's the part that I think people don't understand about people who practice abstinence. We get just as excited as the next person. Like, it is very difficult when you like someone because that's naturally what the inclination is. That's why back in the day, people didn't have long courtships, because you spend enough time, you start to catch all those romantic feelings. Eventually your body's like, what are we doing here? So I feel for the men who are practicing abstinence, because I have heard they usually get accused of not liking women, not being interested in that woman, just all these horrible things. Read somewhere that casual sex for women is okay. Sex with your boyfriend is expected, but sex with your husband is oppressive. What? Yeah, I don't know who's saying that. And again, as I mentioned before, I think the reason why a lot of women don't have sex, and I would love to talk to, a study and do a study myself. I would love to talk to like 1,000 women and see what the reason is. Because I know people say, oh, I get tired and my body changes and all this stuff. Yes, I understand that there are certain natural things that can occur once you have children, for example. But it is very difficult to resist a man you physically find attractive, who is loving, sweet, protecting you, providing for you, and speaking your love language. It's very hard to resist that for a long period of time. And I think with most men, what happens is they learn how to get the woman, but they don't know how to keep the woman. They don't know how to keep pursuing her. They don't know how to continue to compliment her, to continue to let her feel like she's needed. It's very easy when you start having kids and living, your life is like, well, I see her every day. That's not a date. You could live with the woman. She still needs to be dated. She still needs you to say, I want to see you and have uninterrupted time with you. I want quality time with you. Let's go out on Friday. Hanging out watching a movie, it is not necessarily quality time, because one of you might be on your phone, or maybe the other person's cleaning a little bit. Even if you do spend time on the couch, it should be designated time. This is a date. We are turning our phones off. Kids are at the sitter. People need to be able to nurture the relationship and keep things going. Because if you think putting a ring on her finger and then just paying the bills is going to make her be hot for you, it doesn't work like that. Brittany says, I'm still a virgin at 31. Praise God. And the last guy I dated broke up with me because he didn't want to wait. Yeah. And the thing is that if you can't wait, like I said, if you can't wait as a single person, what are you going to do in marriage? So many people are addicted to porn. A lot of men are addicted to porn. And I've been doing some interesting studies on that, like how that affects your sex drive. And it also makes people have a hard time relating to their spouse in a human way, because they have disassociated the act of climaxing with a non-human. Basically like you're not there in person with another person. She said that's the pre-sex foreplay that women need. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. He said, how long is a man supposed to wait? According to the word of God, until that's your wife. That sleeping with the person makes you their wife. Makes you pretty much like that before God. Like now you have consecrated your marriage. Thank you, Kanisha. I really appreciate the badge. So I want to get a tribe together. I want to get a community together of people who are not led by their lusts. There is material out there. If you are addicted to porn, if you self-please, like that should not be necessary. That should not be a regular, ongoing thing. Your body should not control you. One of the reasons for me, it's important for me to exercise, and when I get away from that or eating healthy, I really feel gross, because I don't want anything controlling me. When I say me, I mean like the person making the decision. I'm the being inside this body. And I hate it when I have urges to do something and it overrides me. I'm the HBIC. So there are times where I will fast from soda. There are times that I will try to fast from fast food, because I need to let my body know I'm in charge. And there is nothing sexier than a man who doesn't let that thing control himself. Thank you, Kanisha. I really appreciate that. Will the real men stand up? And it's interesting, because for a while I would come out the gate so hard at women. Women, we gotta do this, and women, we gotta do that. And this is how, you attract the right type of man. But when I really went out there, I went out there myself. I went out there because I took a long hiatus from dating. And when I went out there, I'm like, the bar is low. The bar is low. Like, if there was a way I could do it and protect the men's privacy, I would literally tape my experiences so men can see what we go through as women. So men could see. I'm about to drop a video on Tuesday on YouTube talking about what men to avoid. So many men out here being super vague. A lot of men out here just using women to pass the time, waiting until they find the real one. Men just out here because they're horny. Men who are out here because they have low self-esteem and they need the validation that a woman is, hey, big head. Oh, okay, cool. Got it. There are a lot of men who just waste a woman's time, or all they want is to be able to smash and then move on. And it's very difficult as women to be able to keep hope alive. And this is why so many women say, well, maybe I should lower the bar. Maybe I should just start hooking up right away. Because then you get these guys out here who's like, no man is ever going to be with you if he doesn't let you hit it. If you don't let him hit it. Like, what? Says who? I would rather be single than to feel like I have to have sex to keep a guy. And all this stuff out here about, you know, oh, I couldn't marry her blind. I couldn't marry her without knowing what her sex is like. You do realize there are therapists, right? There are literally people out here who are certified, who can teach you stuff. There are women who don't know about their bodies. A lot of women haven't explored their bodies. A lot of women don't know what to do to climax. Okay? Most men know their bodies because they've been messing with their bodies since they were, you know, hit puberty. But let's start normalizing getting therapy. Let's start normalizing watering the grass where it's on your side. Hey, I have a dope husband. Hey, I have a dope wife. Hey, let's figure out, how do we fix this? It's like a house. You buy your dream house, the chimney's broken. Okay, well, talk to a specialist. What do we have to do? You might have to rip up some pipes. You might have to put new carpet down. But let's normalize fixing what is broken. If you don't like something, talk to your person. How is this your whole spouse and you can't tell them what you like sexually? And not to be putting all the business out there, but a majority of women aren't even being pleased. A lot of these women are just moaning and gasping and doing whatever to stroke the man's ego, because God forbid the man knows he ain't doing nothing. A lot of these women are looking for emotional support. They want the man to be happy with her. They want the man to be giving her attention. So she's moaning like he's just blowing her back out. And in reality, she ain't done nothing. She's waiting for him to leave so she can. Why? Because when there isn't an emotional intimacy, if there isn't a connection, deep trust, a woman's body just doesn't relax. I don't know why God made us this way, but he did. Y'all, it's like, men, you just, a breeze could hit it and with women, you have to be able to relax with a man. Even with therapy, you have to remain consistent. Doing therapy exercises for a little while doesn't help. Therapy works if you both work. And that's key. Both people have to be trying. Usually with counseling, it's like one person who got dragged into it and the other person who wants to be there. Both partners have to have the goal of, I want to do whatever I can to please my spouse, physically, emotionally, and mentally. She said, make health and wholeness the new normal. Yes. Why is there emotional support? Why does emotional support stimulate women? You're going to have to ask our creator that. You're going to have to ask our creator that. We physically have to relax. Like, I don't mean to be TMI, but if you go into, let's say, a pap smear, right? A woman needs to have a pap smear. It's not a sexual thing, but it can be painful if you don't physically relax. Her body needs to physically relax. And especially if a guy is well endowed, she really needs to be able to relax. And the sad part is that a lot of guys, they spend time learning what feels good for them. They don't even bother to see what the woman likes. And if you go into a forum with women and you ask, hey, do you guys like this touch? Do you like this, twisted? Do you like this? Whatever. I'm not trying to be too graphic. You will have a whole group of women be like, I love it. I can't live without it. And then another group is like, oh, don't do that. I don't like that. Every single woman is different. So when people try to say like, oh, I'm a great lover, that makes me laugh. Because I'm like, first of all, that's subjective. You might think you are. A lot of women fake. And two, women are different. So the thing that she might have liked, like for me, it's so funny. I know a lot of people like their ears licked, right? They like their ears licked. I'm like, what? Like, if I hear in my ear and I feel that, it just feels like a wet willy, right? So that might have worked for the other person. Or some people like to be nibbled on. I'm like, what are you biting me for? Like, each person is different. So to act like this one size fits all, I'm just this amazing lover, you just need to be amazing to your partner. He said the greatest sex is when you're married to the right one. Aw, guilt-free and all. I love it. A man is not going to know how to love his wife until they take their walk with God for real and learn true love. I'm telling you, there's... people are jumping into sex so quickly, way before other things are explored. It puts so much pressure on the relationship. And even if the woman really, really likes the guy, if they break up, she feels, I would imagine most women would feel like, doggone, I have another body. Because even though I don't walk around saying, oh, here's my number, most women, most feminine women, do not want to have a bunch of bodies. I know it was a big deal for me to be like, my husband was my only. That was a big deal for me. And so it's just, it puts so much pressure. That's really what I want to get at. It puts so much pressure. I just wish, I'm not going to say I wish, I'm going to get this community together and find these people, bring these people together who actually want to get to know each other. Actually want to get to know each other. And I just think that our generation has, all this freedom, and this freedom has locked us into a prison. We're not free. We are less free now than we were before. To be honest, I was thinking about taking some time off to really get my thoughts together, because we are in such desperate times right now. I look at the content, the bitter content from men, and they're going, women aren't worth the time. They'll just use you for your money. Just focus on your purpose, king. Just do your own thing, right? Men going their own way. And then you see women who are like, men ain't this. All they want is sex. Just focus on the bag. But at the end of the day, women want men. Men want women. Like, we can talk all this rah, 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 rah. But at the end of the day, people want love. I don't care how much you say, focus on your purpose. You want to come home to a woman who's going to keep you warm at night. As much as she's like, I'm a boss bee. You want a big old strong man laying there ready to be the big spoon. Okay? So all these people out here, all these people can't be telling the truth. All these men can't be saying they're trying to find a good woman. And all these women can't be saying they're trying to find a good man. And none of us have found each other. Make that make sense. Perfect point. Let me read his comment. He said, a lot of women get bored if the man isn't trying to get action right away. So sometimes the man may feel it's his only path, may not be his preferred path. This is why I say we need to get the people together who are on the same page. Because if you are a person who values sex, thinks that sex is sacred, if you keep running into people who don't think sex is sacred, it's going to be frustrating. And if you are somebody who thinks that sex is not sacred, it's going to be frustrating running into people who think it is sacred. That's why I want to get a group together. Like I said, I should have it, I'm hoping by like September, if I can get enough, support to be able to put it together. But have this group, because I know there are a lot of us. We just need to get all in the same room. I would like to be a part of this community when you create it. Awesome. I'm down. Let's make it happen. Make sure you guys are on my email list, you guys. And those of you who want to be proactive, please join my Patreon, because my Patreon is what I'm going to be using to fund this. I'm using a platform called Kajabi. It is not cheap, so I have to pay for it. So that's what's caused a little bit of the delay, because I have to be able to, save up to be able to do that. But that's an annual expense. And it takes a lot. I got to hire a team to build this platform out. So if you guys want to help speed this process along, I could just hire someone to do it instead of having to do it myself. That would be amazing. All the links to my Patreon are on Instagram through the link in my bio, and on YouTube in the description. Thank you for being so positive and not push this narrative that women hate men and men hate women. It makes me feel like, why even try to date? Let me stay in my shell. I know it's easy to feel like that. And I'm not gonna lie, I've had times where I have felt like that. I've had times where I've really gotten angry with men. Especially because I listen to men and I hear what they have to say. And I'm like, I'm that woman. I'm that woman who's going to be kind to you, loving to you, joke with you, laugh with you, everything that these men describe. But, if I don't put out, I'm discarded like trash. I'd love to join such a community. 29-year-old unmarried Christian that has been waiting since 2018. Oh, nice. Manifesting me. Makia says, I want to join. Awesome. Positive vibes. Yes. When I was single and celibate, some girls would get pressed. My wife is the only one who honored my commitment to God. I love that. I mean, I love that your wife honored it. Thank you, Kanisha. Thank you. It does hurt when a man will just push you to the side because of sex when you know you're a great woman and you hold value. I'm telling you, and I hope men listening will hear this. It is the most, I don't even know the right adjective. It's so disheartening. It's so belittling, where it's like, as a soul, I have no value. Like, for you to be able to dismiss me because I won't fornicate with you, it just tells me, like, that is literally the most important thing for you. I don't know. I feel like I'm not even clearly explaining it. We are so much deeper, no pun intended, than our whole. Like, I am a whole person. I am a compassionate person. I look at women who are so mean and entitled and act like, take me to the nicest place. Like, I'm the chick who's like, let's go for a walk. I don't need fancy dinners. I'm flexible. As long as I have internet, I can work anywhere. It's everything that men say they're looking for. I literally make it a habit to try to be that. And for someone to just be like, but you won't put out. So next, the question in my mind is, how many Yanceys are you meeting? Like, are they just roaming the streets? Submissive, loving, kind, honest, thoughtful, reciprocal, not a gold digger. You just running across all these people. It makes me wonder, like, do men not have a need for, like, companionship? I mean, at the end of the day, like, not to be crass, but you would think that they would at least want the relationship, and if she's abstaining, he could at least try to please himself on the side. Like, I mean, even that, at least you're trying to get it out of your system. But to say that you care so much about an orgasm, you're willing to bypass. And the reason why I want to say this, I know you guys are saying don't take it personally. The reason why I want to say this is because I want the men who are doing this to think. Think about all the women who were great women that you overlooked because you could not control yourself. Sometimes I wonder if good women exist, but I know they are out there. And that is how women are feeling as well. I'm going to get back to that in just 1 second. I'm going to read this one comment. She said, Yancy, thank you. I literally wanted to cry the other day thinking I may never get married again because after being married 15 years, it's totally different. I'm rare, like fish out of water. I'm telling you guys, I think about this every single day. I've really been thinking about the last month, how to make this community make sense. I want to have I'll just tell you guys some of the ideas that I have. I want to be able to showcase different people. And because I think I've even seen this where, like, on dating apps and things like that, it's really hard to get a feel for the person. And some people, like, I've talked to some people where I'm like, dang, your pictures did not do you justice. And I almost swiped left on them. But thank goodness I swiped right and ended up being, much more attractive than I thought or whatever. I think it would be great because like I said, I had started this with my private group and we've had 4 marriages. I want to get the community together because I know that there are good men. I know that there are good women. They just have to meet each other. And it is so hard to not get bitter. It's very hard for people to not get bitter. She said, based on what I've heard men say, the sex is the priority, which is sad to hear for us women who'd rather wait. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it will take for people to wake up. Because I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes of a guy. If I can easily get sex and I really, really like it, I don't really have a lot of motivation to stop. It's like someone who has a really great job and you're getting lots of money. Like, what would make that person stop? The One University. Okay, I'll have to look that up. And I know there's the Sexless Tribe. There's a woman who started that app. But what I want to do is I want to have like very interactive. So what we did is, what we did in my other group was we would have conversations where people would come on. We'd be on like Zoom or whatever. And you really get a feel for people's personalities. Because someone that you might not necessarily like think immediately this is your person, when you start to hear someone talk, you're like, oh, okay, I see you. So it's interesting. Daryl, make sure you come back and put their names after I post this because the comments go away after. So, yeah, like I said, Ivan, it's not that I take it personally. I do know it's them. But the thing is, it is still frustrating. Like, you can't deny it's frustrating. It is a slap in the face for someone to say, you check every single box, but if I can't sleep with you, I don't want you. And with men, at least with men, you guys can be proactive. You guys can go out and shoot your shot. You guys can initiate. I feel like so many times, for me, the reason why dating doesn't work is because the guy is just lazy. He won't call. He won't initiate dates. He will just dragging along. Can married folks join in? Absolutely. That's what we did in that one. Any status, people were invited because I think it's really important. I'm so glad you said that because that's another point I wanted to make. I think it's really important for there to be married people who can speak from experience. And even for me, I have 12 years of marriage under my belt. So there was a lot of stuff that I like to say, I know what I did wrong. And I can let people know, ooh, don't do this. Or I know what I wish I had asked before I got into marriage. And even advice on, co-parenting. Because you still have a relationship with your ex if you have kids. So, but absolutely, I would love for people to give advice who are happy in their relationships. And I think sometimes it's better for people, well, not sometimes, I think it's always better for strangers to give advice, because if you don't know the couple, then you don't have any reason to like judge the other spouse. So let's just say, for example, a guy is coming in and he wants to talk to a bunch of dudes. You can go in, thank you, Chavez. You can go in, talk to these guys, spill your guts, say whatever you're going through. They're never going to see you again. It's not like you have to bump into them in the barbecue or at church or, oh God, that's your wife. I think sometimes you just need that unbridled advice. And I remember when I was going through stuff, I didn't want people in my business. So things that I was really struggling with, if I talk to my parents, they're going to know my business. If I tell my friends, they're going to hate my husband, So I think sometimes you need that. He said, I got to look at the times we live in. Really, the morals of our generation are going down as we get closer to Jesus coming back. But there are Christ-centered individuals out here striving. And I really think the remnant needs to stick together. At the end of the day, Daryl, that's what it is. The remnant needs to stick together. We need to encourage one another to not give up. Because if we look at the world and we see all of the people in the world, the majority, or at least the loudest is teaching something very different. But as you can see, they are not happy. even these women who are these rappers and things like that, they're not happy. Or I should say, they're not doing the things that they're claiming. All these people talking about, fornicating and hooking up with all these people, they're married. Like, they got married. They were not here living this single life. Oh, goodness. I think that, I just think it's good. It's good. We need each other. We need each other. Let me look at this comment. Let's see. I connected with my wife in a deep way. I never even held her hand until we were married. Oh, wow. He said our connection was so deep. I'm telling you. The other thing I think will be fun, and I'm going to go. The other thing I think would be fun is to take people who were attracted to each other and follow them from before their date until after their date. And I hope I have a couple, well, it wouldn't be a couple yet, but I hope I can get a guy and a girl who agree to this, because I want to walk through the process and see where the ball drops. I think that would be so, so, so important to see where things went wrong, because I've heard so many times where something wasn't said and the people assume the worst. Oh, I just assumed this, and so I just stopped calling. And then, well, he stopped calling, so I just assumed. I would love to walk through. Can you imagine, like, if you guys have seen Married at First Sight, can you, and they have the teams of people working with them, the professionals. I would love to have that with a couple who is dating, like from jump. He can talk to somebody, she could talk to somebody, and work the way through. I think a lot of times people think you don't need counseling until you're almost married or married. But the reality is a lot of people get off on the wrong foot because they just don't know what they're doing. Things that we think are common sense are not common. She said, widow after 32 years of marriage. I'm looking forward to getting back in the dating scene. Yeah. He said reality TV. No, I'm talking about real life. I'm talking about real life, not scripted, not shows that are produced. There's a big difference between somebody who is making a show trying to get ratings. Because if you do that, you have to have high drama. You got to have a lot of conflict. They have, an interest in making things really, really, really spicy. I wouldn't have that, because I don't have advertisers who need to get paid, and I wouldn't be looking to get paid off of the video. So no, this would be vastly different from a reality show. I think it's really, really, really important. I think the other thing that would be really helpful too is when you have a community, you could get feedback about what your presentation is. I have met some people, and if it wasn't cringy, I would have loved to tell them, hey, this is why I was turned off. Like, I think you're handsome, but this totally turned me off. I think a lot of times people have no idea how they present. They have no idea how they show up in the world. And we have an idea in our mind how we're showing up, but then there's the actual reality. Excuse me. Yeah. So that, I'm telling you, there's so much. That's the thing. You said drama sells, and that's why I said I wouldn't be selling anything. So I don't need for there to be drama. That's why I said this is different from trying to sell a TV show to a network. This would be for the purpose of strengthening the group. Love is Blind is interesting. Watch on Netflix. It absolutely is interesting. And one of the things that was so frustrating for me watching that show was seeing people not giving them help. Like, I would see them do their confessionals. There was one couple specifically. It was the two. I think they were both kind of blonde looking, and either he has like reddish hair. But they had what seemed like really simple problems. But because I don't know, I just felt like the coaches weren't involved enough and get in there. I don't know. When I give dating advice, when I do couples counseling, I'm like, put your hair up in a ponytail because we going to work. Like, I call a spade a spade. I'm like, nah, sis, that was foul right there. Like, nah, we're not going to do that. Like, I just think that people kind of like tiptoe in those situations. And I think that, you got to get in there. There was a comment. Do you have a book on how to date? I do actually have a course Make Dating Fun Again, and I talk about a lot of stuff. I got all the tea from the men. I interviewed a bunch of guys, and then I saw what they all had in common, like what the things that they agreed upon. Because, you know, random people give you a random thing here, a random thing there. But the things that were all in common, I compiled that and put that into my guide, A Man's Guide to Dating a Man's Guide to Dating a Man. It's Dating 101, First Date 101. And then I have my course, Make Dating Fun Again, talking about the things to avoid when you're dating, what you should do before dating. It's a whole thing. Everything's on my website, chasingyancy.com. Live the life you live. Live the life you live and live the life you love. Love the life you live and live the life you love. So y'all wish me luck. If you want to contribute, you can sign up for Patreon. I think the cheapest tier is like $5 a month, but that kind of stuff really helps. It goes towards the Zoom. Like I have to, keep up my Zoom every month to be able to do my YouTubes and things like that. And I use it for coaching. A lot of, little expenses here or there. It really, really helps because I do this full time. And I like to spend my downtime when I'm not making content researching. I like to stay up to date. I thought I had my book right here. I must have moved it to the living room. But I'm always reading books. I have 4 books right here on my nightstand. I'm always reading books. I'm always trying to get educated. I'm always trying to keep my ear to the streets. I'm always trying to scour the internet and see what are the common things that people are bickering over or discontent about. And so, any support that I have is really, really great. But it's worth it because I just really want people to be able to enjoy relationships. So y'all pray for me as I'm on this journey. Stay encouraged. Getting back to the original topic, stay encouraged. Those of you who are abstaining, know that I am putting this group together, God willing. He said, one thing for sure, the gender war is a big reason folks are getting bitter, refusing to date, and walking into trauma. It's time to detox from the online echo chambers in both genders. Yeah, I really think we should protect what we read. I really think that it's like a mob mentality where if you see something enough, you start to believe it. I remember one guy, this guy just really vexes me, but he's one of my followers. He's probably gonna know who he is when I say this, but he's so contrary and he has the most toxic version of women in his head. And at one point I said, you can't speak for all women. You haven't dated all women or you haven't dealt with all women. He's like, oh, I don't deal with women. And I'm like, you don't even deal with women and yet you're talking about experiences. And a lot of these people aren't even dating themselves. They're going off of things they've seen on social media. They are getting worked up about things they've seen on YouTube. Like, this isn't even their world. Oh, yeah, women are this or oh, men are that. Like, bruh, you're not even dating. Thank you so much, Makia. Hope I'm saying your name right. Is there any hope for my generation? I'm 25 and been in a loving relationship with my man for 5 years. All of my peers are out of control and thought bots. They are highly influenced by the media. Man, you are lucky that you have a guy. Where did you meet your guy? Yeah, I feel like it's this, the media, I said this to someone on a panel and people laughed, but I said the media is raising a lot of kids. The media is a lot of parents, because of the high cost of living, they have to put their kids in daycare or after school programs. Well, after school programs, you're just around your peers. What do you and your peers have? You have phones. So you are going on social media, learning whatever it is that you need to learn, and you're being influenced. You're being influenced by music, by TV, and by movies, okay? And so these things that are being put out based on what they think is going to make the most money, not based off of truth. This is not based off of, what statistically gives people good relationships. Yeah, let's sing songs about that. No. They're going off of what they think is going to make the most money. And a lot of times it's what's shocking, it's what's titillating, it's clickbaity. So subconsciously, this is why I say it's so important to detox from this. Believe it or not, I don't listen to secular music. Because in my head, if I'm singing these songs about being promiscuous, I'm singing it not even realizing I'm singing these lyrics, and I'm hypnotizing myself. I don't need a man. I'm just making that up, right? Like if the lyrics are saying something that I don't believe, I'm confusing my subconscious mind. That is why when I want to lift my spirits, I sing songs that are in line with what I want. If I'm sad, I sing songs about joy. I sing songs about God being my peace until I start to feel that thing. So just like a song can get us out of our funk, it can take us into one. So as a man, you cannot say, I want a healthy relationship with a woman, and you're listening to songs calling women bees and hoes. You cannot be playing video games where women are either prostitutes or, I don't know, whatever else they are. And I don't watch video games, but I know the women are not like lovely creatures in these games usually. We have to watch the movies that we're watching. We have to take inventory of what we're looking at. And the thing is, I have like a handful of you guys on this live. All it takes is for us to make a decision. We are going to be different. We are not going to conform. We are not going to follow the rules of the matrix. If we all keep resisting and then we come together, we're going to find some matches, okay? So in the meantime, y'all work on your fitness. Make sure you present well, right? Make sure you look your best. Get your little spirit together. Get your therapy. Because God willing, before the end of this year, I will launch this thing. Okay? Because someone's lying out here. Someone's lying. Men saying they're looking for a good woman and women are saying they're looking for a good man. Somebody's lying because we ain't meeting each other. All right, guys. Thank you for letting me rant. Again, if you want to join my Patreon, it's patreon.com/Yancy, or you can just click the link in my bio or the link in my story. It has been a pleasure hanging out with you guys. Until next time, tell someone that you love them, and I hope it's very apparent just how much I love you. Thanks for